Assalamu alaikum and hello again. Now we are talking about topic 6.7 school management systems. It's in your ICT book page 106.
IT has had a significant influence within schools. If you look around a typical classroom, you'll see computers and an interactive whiteboard. Education-specific software such as quizzes and virtual learning environments are used. Some schools have a bring-your-own-device policy that allows pupils to access learning on their smartphone or tablet. But some technology used in schools is invisible to pupils most of the time. This pod looks at some such technologies, which tend to be used by staff and school management rather than pupils.
A key piece of management technology in schools is the humble class register. As a pupil, your biggest involvement here is responding when a teacher calls out your name. Many teachers don't even call out names when they know everyone's name, so you might have stopped noticing the register a while ago. Registers used to be paper-based, but most are now completed using a browser that's connected to a database somewhere within the school.
A class teacher usually sees only their own classes when they log into the register system. They will enter marks for present, absent and late, and these marks are sent to the database. Other members of staff, such as managers and personal tutors, can look at this data in different ways. They might want to identify frequently absent or late pupils, or look for patterns among particular pupils or subjects. An electronic register allows this data to be accessed as soon as a register is complete, but a fault in the system can be a huge problem. If teachers cannot access the database, no registers can be taken. For this reason, a backup method, probably using paper, tends to be used.
Similar systems are used to record test scores and homework marks. Each teacher enters marks for their own class, allowing other staff to compare a pupil's performance across all subjects. This type of system also allows teachers to be compared with one another. When data is used by managers to monitor and manage an organisation, such as a school, we call that system a Management Information System, or MIS. A good MIS in a school has a number of benefits. People who are struggling can be more quickly identified and supported. Reports can be generated quickly and automatically.
Timetabling used to be a lengthy and complex activity without computer technology. If a class has to be moved from one point on the timetable to another, there is a knock-on effect. What other class was scheduled to be in that room? Where will it occur now? If it has to move to a different time slot, what happens to the class, the room and the teacher in that time slot? Computers speed this process up significantly and reduce errors. Most software also allows exams to be timetabled and cover staff to be assigned.
A piece of technology that is commonly used in schools is optical mark recognition, or OMR. This involves a scanner looking for pencil or ink marks at specific points on a page. An OMR scanner can read hundreds of pages a minute. In education, this is a useful tool for multiple choice exams, as marks can only exist at predetermined points on the page. It's also an alternative way of doing a class register. Next to each pupil name on a sheet of paper, there could be 3 boxes to represent present, absent or late. The teacher shades in a box which is read by the OMR scanner after the register is sent to the office. While this approach means attendance is not immediately on the system, an OMR sheet can also be read by a person. This makes it a better system in the event of a computer fault.
Now, school management systems, as in our books, it's talking about that schools have to manage a number of different tasks in the day-to-day running of the school, which includes registration and attendance records of the students, student performance, organization of school exams like internal or external exam, creation of timetables, teacher substitution when teachers are absent due to the illness or training. Now, first of these day-to-day work is to register the students' attendance. The traditional way to record the registration and the attendance of a student was to complete daily registers using a paper and pen, which is manual. This way is very time consuming since it is requiring a 10-minute session at the beginning and the end of each day. Also, it can make some error if the student's name was missed at some point during the registration process. So, the manual one, it was with errors and it is a slow, times consuming. So there are a number of possible ways of automation to automate the registration process using some hardware or software, using the applications for registration or getting the attendance. Now, let's see method number 1 for school registration systems. Method 1, as you see, this is a magnetic card which could be with the student. So, to issue each student an ID card, it contains the magnetic stripe here, the black line here, which is also contains the name of the student with the registration number. The student would have to sign the card and also to write his unique student ID on the back of the card as well. As you see, the magnetic stripe would contain the name of the school, the name of the student, student's data of birth date, and some unique number, the ID number for this student. Each morning, the student would arrive the school and swipe the ID card through the magnetic card reader. The data will be read by this reader and identify the student and the time, also the date that they have entered the school premises. Now this data would now be stored on the database, each student by their ID number, by their name, and also the arriving time. Now on the leaving or on leaving the school, they also will swipe by their cards just to register if they are leaving for some break or leaving for home. So all of the data will be stored on the database system for each day of the weekdays for each student. Now, this would give a very comprehensive record of when the student attended the school and the number of hours they attended. It would also be more secure method in the event. Why? Because if we have some fire, the school should count how many students they have in the class or in the school, so they can just back to the database file for today to count instantly how many students now we have in the database, so they can count the saved students, so they can compare the numbers and find out the students. The school would now be able to count every student currently showing as being present on the school premises. Now this is how it could be safe. Using paper-based system, a student could register, then just go home, and I cannot get that this student is in school or in home unless I have to talk to their parents. Now, there are further subtitles that could be used as such. In number 1, to use a pen to stop another student swiping in with wrong card, so no students will mistake their cards. Also, using some GPS tracking on these cards, so using the GPS will tell you exactly where each student is. So you can also find the student in which classroom or in which place in the school they are, or even in the house. Now, that was method 1. Now method 2 is talking about biometrics. Each student would have their fingerprints taken. Now, in this case, fingerprints for students, it means that we have to put many readers in the school in many places because we have a huge number of students and the fingerprint will take time more than the cards. Also, we have to be hygienic with these readers. I have to hygiene each student before and after using the fingerprint reader. Now, their personal details also should be saved according to their fingerprint as in method 1. So each time the student enter the school premises, they would be asked to put their hand on the scanner or the reader of the fingerprint. So each student would have unique fingerprint and the system also will be secured. Now for this, I can't find the mistake or the error of using the others' cards or swiping the cards because each one has their own fingerprint. Now, that was about the two methods. Now we have advantages and disadvantages of these methods. Like here, the advantages of fingerprint, advantages of using ID cards, and also this is talking about the ID card. We have to know all of these advantages and disadvantages. Please memorize all. It's only 4 by 4, so you have to memorize them. After this, it's talking about student performance. Students are attending the classroom and attending the subjects. They are working with the teachers. They are also making some exams like short quizzes or essay question exam, like first month, second month, or the final exam. We have to register and to follow their performance. Teachers could make considerable use of spreadsheets to monitor performance of their students, as here I put the title of the exam or the performance here that I want to follow with the subject, the class or the grade, the number, the ID number of my student, their names, and also the details of this month evaluation. It depends on each subject, on each month, and also it refers to the teacher how they want to follow the performance. Now, using this spreadsheet will make calculations easier. You can't miss any of the students because you have the list of the names. There is no mistakes or errors in the calculations since it is done by the spreadsheet application. Now, after this, the exam timetables, subject timetable, and also the teacher substitution. It's all linked and it has the same criteria. We are talking about the same concept method, which is timetables. Now, timetables are required for the following: exam scheduling, subject scheduling, and producing the covers or the substitution plans for some teachers who are absent. And this is like an example for timetable for the teacher Paul Smith with his number, and the timetable for summer term in 2016, and here is their timetable. It will be easier, no clashes, there is no mistakes to be done using the software. It will be faster, easier to be produced with more efficient method. Now, many factors have to be taken into account when producing timetables for each student: availability of teachers, availability of rooms, subject clashes, number of hours for each subject, making sure double lessons appear for certain practical subjects, but ensuring this does not happen with others. So that was about the factors. Now, timetables are also produced so that students know when to set an exam. This is why we need the exam timetable. The advantages of using software for creating any timetable that it is quicker and less error prone than the older paper-based system. It's also easier to try what if scenario to ensure the most efficient use of the time utilized. Now, timetables can be produced to cover classes when teachers are absent. So, these are all the advantages of using some software for creating timetables. This is all was about the school system. Thank you and goodbye.